More arrests at New York University. Police were called in to clear another pro-Palestine encampment this morning. NTD's Fiona G spoke to students about the impact of the unrest. Acclaimed attorney Alan Dershowitz says the hush money case against the former president is a non-crime. We ask him what he means by that. Misconduct allegations against Fulton County DA Fani Willis' handling of the Georgia election case against Trump. The Georgia Senate Special Investigations Committee holds a hearing. We have the latest. The U.S. Treasury Department is announcing new sanctions targeting suppliers of military equipment to Russia. And China is once again in the spotlight. So how exactly did China aid Russia's war? We have a retired colonel break it down for us. The jobs report for April shows a drop in the number of jobs created. We'll tell you what the numbers mean and the impact on the economy. Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Stephanie Cox. More prosecution witnesses in the Trump criminal trial today. The latest to take the stand is Trump's former press secretary, Hope Hicks. Hicks is providing the jury with an inside view of the 2016 Trump campaign's reaction to the Access Hollywood tape. On his way into the courtroom this morning, Trump said the defense is winning.
So now I have to go through this trial day after day. The trial is... We are winning this trial. We had a fair trial. If we had a fair judge, I don't think he would have even allowed this trial to take place.
Hicks testified that staffers on Trump's 2016 presidential campaign were shocked when they learned that the tape was about to be made public. The tape contained lewd comments Trump had made about women. She said everyone, including former President Trump, agreed the tape would be damaging to his campaign. But she said Trump also viewed it as two guys talking locker room talk. Hicks's testimony helped prosecutors show jurors the campaign's damage control efforts in the final days of the 2016 campaign. And next, famed attorney Alan Dershowitz talked to NTD's Kelly Wright, the host of America's Hope. Dershowitz says Trump's so-called hush money trial is a case about a non-crime and how the criminal justice system is being weaponized against the former president.
You've defended Donald Trump before, the former president of the United States. He is facing a lot of legal trouble as he continues to be the front runner for the Republican Party, the presumptive nominee. What's happening in his legal quagmire?
Well, I wrote a whole book on that called Get Trump. It's not my title. I got it from the Attorney General of New York and the District Attorney of New York, both of whom campaigned on the promise essentially to get Trump. So the legal system is being misused horribly in New York, in Georgia, in Florida, and in the District of Columbia. And I'm not a Republican. I did not vote for Trump in the last election. I don't know who I'm going to vote for in this election, but I have an open mind. But this is not about politics for me. This is about the rule of law. And today it's used against a Republican nominee. Tomorrow it can be used against a Democratic nominee, and the day after it could be used against you and your family. So we have to protect the rule of law, even based on selfishness. You know, if we don't protect it for others, they won't protect it for us.
And would you say that all of the recriminations coming against Donald Trump from the legal system, including judges trying to actually force him to be quiet with a gag order, a $9,000 fine, is any of this fair to the former president of the United States, who right now is like any average human being facing a legal system that is coming against him in multiple states, as you just stated?
Utterly unfair. If they wanted to have a gag order, they should have postponed it until after the election. You don't have a gag order on somebody who's running for president of the United States. A gag order that allows Michael Cohen, his main adversary, to attack him every day, and he's not allowed to respond or not allowed to campaign. I mean, he's entitled. I mean, President Biden made a joke about him at the journalist dinner. He's entitled to respond to that. The marketplace of ideas requires that every accusation, every statement be responded to. And so the gag order is utterly unconstitutional. The trial is based on a non-crime. The only purpose of the trial is to gag him and to keep him in court to prevent him from campaigning. That's the goal, and it's working.
And you can see more of Kelly Wright's interview with Alan Dershowitz when America's Hope airs tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern here on NTD. That's 7 p.m. Pacific time. And today, more arrests at the New York University and the new school in New York City. A student tells NTD's Fiona G. that she feels safer with the protest encampment taken down.
I'm right here outside the John A. Paulson Center of New York University, where earlier today around 6 a.m. the New York Police Department cleared out a pro-Palestinian student encampment right there behind me. The police department said that the university sent them a letter yesterday asking for their help. Now things seem to have quieted down. There's no more tents or protesters in the area. Workers earlier were hosing down the sidewalks with power hoses. As I was walking here, I noticed pro-Palestinian slogans written on the ground in chalk, but no more protesters in sight. Despite the unrest, NYU announced that classes will continue as scheduled. Increased safety measures require students to scan their IDs to enter facilities. Police continue to patrol outside NYU buildings.
I don't think it's necessary, personally, and I feel like it kind of increases the tensions around campus, makes everyone a little bit more stressed.
Nationwide, over 2,300 Israel-Hamas war protesters have been arrested on college campuses. This morning, the new school in New York City also requested police assistance. The NYPD then arrested 43 individuals.
A lot of the tents had things that were anti-Semitic. Once again, everyone should be able to peacefully protest whatever their opinion is. But specifically with that, it was harming a lot of students, whether they realized it or not. So I feel more safe as a student walking around campus that is taken down.
It is reported that around a dozen people were arrested at the encampment this morning. Now tonight in this building right here, there's going to be a Shabbat dinner, which is one of NYU's largest annual gatherings of Jewish students. Pro-Palestinian student protesters say they will return at that time. Fiona G., NTD News.
The Biden administration rolled out fresh sanctions on Wednesday, this time targeting companies and individuals that are allegedly helping Russia's war effort against Ukraine. And of nearly 300 targeted suppliers, more than a dozen are based in China. These entities are accused of supplying the Kremlin with military equipment, ranging from infrared detectors to drone components to pressure sensors used in missiles. The latest actions came after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's visit to China last month. Speaking to CCP officials, she warned that Chinese companies could face penalties if they help support Russia's offensive. Yellen cited an executive order signed by President Biden last year, which allows the Treasury to crack down on foreign financial firms for facilitating the flow of military goods to Russia. And for more on this, joining us now is retired Colonel John Mills. He's a senior fellow at the Center for Security Policy and the author of the book, The Nation Will Follow. Colonel, how exactly has China aided Russia's war in Ukraine, in your view?
Well, thank you, Stephanie. A variety of ways. I think it was absurd years ago to think that China was not providing material support to Russia. One of the basic things is they share a commonality in ammunition, whether it be 152 or 122 millimeter artillery shells, 82 millimeter mortars, their version of 7.62 ammunition for machine guns. I mean, it's utterly absurd to think that they were not, and I think Russia would not have gotten this far if it wasn't for China and North Korea doing this. So I think that's one thing, but also high technology componentry for any form of advanced missile systems and drone systems. Iran's providing a lot of drones. I would suggest probably there's a number of significant components for guidance, for command and control, for targeting, for weapons carrying, very likely come from China.
Yeah, and this war is really impacting the whole world, but what does China stand to gain from supporting Russia?
Well, we all need to remember very clearly to put the Ukraine war in context. This is not Russia versus Ukraine. This is China versus the world. Remember, they signed the No Limits Agreement in fall of 21. That was their agreement to topple America. Ukraine was merely the first step in the whole process. So they have a treaty agreement between Russia and China to topple America. And Ukraine was really meant to be just one of the first opening fronts. But by my count, we have 14 different conflicts in progress or can spark in a second around the world. So this must be put in bigger context of what's going on.
Yeah, that's incredible to think about. Now, I want to get to your perspective on the pro-Palestinian protests on American campuses. These protests could give Russia, China, and Iran a chance to exploit the conflict and sow discord here in the U.S. What's the Chinese regime's reaction to the protests?
Well, they clearly are enabling and stoking it. This is part of their malign disinformation and influence operations within the United States. Now, it's already been shown that out of the, 2,000 to 3,000 that have been arrested, 70% were not even students on the campuses where they were protesting at. So this is clearly a fraud. These protests, this is just like the summer of 2020, where in Portland, for example, 70% of the people arrested were actually public school faculty and staff, and they were paid for this. This money doesn't come out of thin air. I think it's a combination of three things: Soros Arabella money, traditional red-green thread money that's existed, but also I think this is very important, is there's a Chinese influence aspect to this money. And I think what's really different this year as opposed to 2020 is the Chinese special operators coming across the border. Where are they popping up? All over the nation. They're muscling into cannabis operations, massage parlors, gambling casinos, all these high cash operations that they can skim and turn right around and do what with? This is perfect payoff money to pay these protesters. These protesters have been documented. They're earning easily $250 a night, and the leadership is earning several thousand a month just for making a few speeches. So there is definitely a financial aspect, and also I think there's some films out there of people who appear to be from China and have been part of the protests. This is absolutely not allowed, and the FBI should be going after them.
Yeah, further investigation and connecting the dots here certainly warranted. Thank you so much, Colonel John Mills. Always great to speak with you. Next up, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is back in the spotlight. The Georgia Senate Special Committee held its third meeting today. The hearings are looking into potential conflicts of interest and potential misuse of public funds. Today's proceedings heard testimony from the head of the Fulton County Commission, the county's attorney, and the chief financial officer. This is the third time the committee has met. It was formed after one of the co-defendants in the Trump election fraud case raised allegations of misconduct by Willis and then Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. The pair were accused of having a romantic relationship prior to Willis hiring Wade as a special prosecutor in the Trump case. Willis was also accused of financially benefiting from the relationship. Both have admitted no wrongdoing. In March, Wade resigned from the case after a Fulton County judge ruled that either he or Willis must quit the case. And the House Judiciary Committee today held a field hearing in the city of Philadelphia. Lawmakers heard testimony from experts and family members of victims of violent crime. NTD's Luis Martinez has that story.
We're here right in front of Independence Hall and right behind the William J. Green Federal Building, where the House Judiciary Committee just held its field hearing focusing on victims of violent crime here in the city of Philadelphia. House Republicans focused also on what they called the pro-criminal lenient policies of District Attorney Larry Krasner. Let's listen to what Congressman Jim Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, had to say about this.
Simply put, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner is failing to prosecute criminals. Since his tenure began, Krasner's office has consistently declined to prosecute crimes in the city. Notably, the policies include not seeking cash bail for most cases, considering a defendant's immigration status in the plea bargaining process, and not prosecuting crimes like prostitution or marijuana possession.
House Republicans presented a flurry of evidence, like, for example, that during DA Larry Krasner's first term, starting in 2018, homicide rates went up 78%. Also, that apparently Larry Krasner, the DA of Philadelphia, had instructed his attorneys not to prosecute with misdemeanors or felonies those criminals caught stealing or shoplifting merchandising under $500. We also heard from experts like Nick Garaci, a former Philadelphia police officer, who called DA Larry Krasner a serial killer by proxy.
He prioritizes the pursuit of his ideological agenda over public safety. Let him go Larry has put the lives of Philadelphia residents at risk, or Uncle Larry, as the criminal underground in Philadelphia refers to him so lovingly.
Democratic ranking member Congressman Jared Nadler from New York lamented that the House Judiciary Committee was not working from Washington, D.C., and accused Republicans of politicizing this hearing.
Our time would be better spent again back in D.C., passing bills that can help support Philadelphia and all our communities to be safer places for every American.
We also heard from Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, the Democrat from Pennsylvania, who accused House Democrats of hosting a traveling circus.
Instead, he's brought his traveling circus to town in order to divide Americans, scare voters, influence elections, and distract from the crushing failure of the House majority to govern.
Republicans and Democrats threw competing statistics throughout the hearing, but one statistic that held firm was last year's murder rate. In Philadelphia in 2023, over 400 people were violently murdered, which is of serious concern to local authorities. Reporting from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
A crash on Interstate 95 in Connecticut will keep the road closed in both directions. 3 vehicles collided yesterday morning, one carrying gasoline. A fire erupted and engulfed the fuel tanker, which traveled across the roadway as the flames reached up toward an overpass.
Troop G was made aware of a 3-vehicle accident that occurred involving a passenger vehicle and 2 tractor trailers, one of them being a tanker truck carrying fuel oil. One occupant in each vehicle, so three people involved total. No one was injured.
The bridge was damaged. The heat from the burning fuel compromised some of the bridge, so that bridge is going to have to come down. Then they're going to have to take a second look at repaving to make sure that the road is safe and secure.
The governor says both sides of the interstate should be back open by Monday. He says he filed an emergency declaration so the federal government can pay for the overpass replacement. The Associated Press reported that the tanker was carrying around 8,500 gallons of gasoline. Traffic jams were heavy after the crash, and the local government is advising drivers to take alternate routes. This crash comes about a year after another fuel truck crashed in Connecticut, killing a driver. When we come back, U.S. job growth slows down a bit in April. We'll have the numbers in our business brief. And following the unrest on U.S. campuses, students in France have also been demonstrating for a week. This is a worrying phenomenon for universities, administration, and students, as protests seem to be growing. That and more after the break.
When I drink it, the first thing was I feel the warmth in my tummy. It's kind of like gently radiating out, you know, a kind of a very comforting warmth. And it was really good, actually. I felt much better. I did feel actually an effect, and I find that it is actually better when I take it regularly.
It's actually steamed and dried 9 times. And so it's really, the essence is really extracted.
Then the second time, I tried it really like on an empty stomach and just 2 teaspoons of it, and over a few times. And wow, there was a big difference, because suddenly I could feel, wow, I was very good energized. I didn't have to eat. I could work outside in the garden for a couple of hours, and I still felt very well. And I was impressed by that. So I think it's a good product.
We all know that words have power. They set things in motion
and make us happy or sad.
But there's one word that stands out, because when people say it, lives are changed. It's not a big word.
It's itsy bitsy.
It's only 3 little letters. But when you say it,
The life of a kid like me can be changed.
So, what is this special word?
It may surprise you.
It's yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes to becoming a monthly supporter of Shriners Hospitals for Children. That's right. Your monthly support allows the doctors and nurses at Shriners Hospitals for Children to give the most amazing care anywhere and change the lives of kids like me. And me.
And me.
Because people like you have said yes. Now I can play football. And I can play catch.
And I can walk.
So what do you say? Will you say yes right now? It's so easy. All you have to do is pick up the phone or go to loveshriners.org right now and say yes. When you say yes to giving just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day. My life is filled with possibility because of the monthly support of people just like you who called the number on your screen and said yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Your yes is making a difference in my life and the lives of so many other kids like me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for giving.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or go to loveshriners.org to say yes right away.
U.S. job growth slows for April, and the feds give the go-ahead on a major oil company merger with one stipulation. Here's NTD's Don Ma with today's business brief.
All right, Steph, so the big jobs report is out today. Job growth in the U.S. slowed more than expected in April, and annual gains in terms of wages cooled as well. So non-farm payrolls increased by 175,000 last month. This is according to the Labor Department's Bureau of Statistics today in its closely watched employment report. So April's tally is actually the lowest since October of last year. The unemployment rate as well rose to 3.9%. It was previously at 3.8%. But, still, despite rising, staying below 4% for the 27th straight month, economists have anticipated the labor market would, in fact, see a gradual slowdown due to the pressure of high interest rates. The state of the economy is weighing on voters' minds, of course, as the November presidential campaign intensifies. Meanwhile, the Federal Trade Commission gave the go-ahead yesterday for a major merger between ExxonMobil and Pioneer Natural Resources. The FTC approved the $64 billion deal on the condition that Pioneer's former CEO, Scott Sheffield, not serve on Exxon's board of directors. Pioneer announced Sheffield's retirement from the company in the spring of last year, but he is still on Pioneer's board, and according to a securities filing, the oil executive had expected to take a seat on Exxon's board following the completion of the deal, which could be finalized at any time. The FTC alleges that Sheffield exchanged information with OPEC officers about limiting oil supplies in order to control oil prices. Exxon agreed not to add Sheffield to its board and said the commission's allegations against Sheffield are, quote, entirely inconsistent with how we do business. Pioneer Natural Resources responded to the accusations with a statement saying Sheffield never sought to collude with other oil producers. All right, Steph, that's all from me. Back to you.
Following the anti-Israel unrest on American college campuses, students in France have also started protesting. Similar demonstrations are spreading to different universities across that country. NTD's France correspondent David Vives speaks with a student union organization leader who shares his worries about the current situation.
Demonstration in support of Palestine is less of a polarizing issue in France than in the United States, as the size of the campuses are smaller and the number of students mobilized is lower. However, these protests seem to be taking root and expanding to more universities across the country over the past week. Police in Paris entered France's prestigious Sciences Po University on Friday and removed the student activists who had occupied its buildings. Other universities have been blocked across France, and some of them have also been evacuated by police. Observers across the country said protests have started following the US demonstrations. Students' union spokesperson Yvan Lecoz says he saw the same events unfolding in Paris as what he saw on TV reports from Columbia campus.
Activists in France are largely inspired by what's being done in the United States. I say largely, and that's very unfortunate, because you can see in La Sorbonne or Sciences Po, they are also trying to pitch tents and illegally occupy the premises.
A collective of 500 alumni and teachers of Paris University has issued an open letter urging the school administration to take action. The letter calls out protesters as a radicalized minority. It expresses concern over the minority's actions, which are seen as undermining the institution's principles of openness and dialogue.
Students aren't able to go to classes and they are being censored. They face a permanent propaganda to which they can't say anything. Today, in a French school, you can't say you are Jewish.
Lucas also says that 2 months ahead of the EU elections, the demonstrations are being pushed by the leftist party Les Insoumis. The political group refused to condemn the September 7th mass strike on Israel.
A minority that belong to extreme left-wing and often pro-Hamas. They use the Palestinian cause for electoral purposes, with the European elections coming up soon to get certain votes. They hope to get votes from the Muslim community.
Negotiations are on the way at Sciences Po to end the standoff, according to the university spokesperson. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
Thank you for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Stephanie Cox. Have a nice weekend.